Hello, and welcome to the Channel 18 News. Today we'll be talking about the compromises, the Wilmot Proviso, and the Dred Scott decision. Now, on to our news broadcasters at the station.
The first segment will be on the Missouri Compromise of 1820. This compromise went into effect because they wanted to equal out the amount of slave and non-slave states. Maine ended up being free as they wanted, and Missouri became slave as they wanted. There was a line developed at the 36 degrees, 30 degrees north, creating a division line for slavery. North of the line was slave, and south of the line was free. And now to Dominique with the weather.
Today's forecast is sunny, partly cloudy, with a slight chance of rain later tonight. The high for tonight is 35 degrees, and the low is 15 degrees. And back to the station with Audrey.
Thanks, Dominique. Next on the broadcast is Compromise of 1850. The compromise was written by Henry Clay and has four main parts. First is that California became a free state. Second is that a stronger fugitive slave law was created. Next, there was no more slave trade in Washington, D.C. Lastly, the Mexican cession was split into two territories, the New Mexico and Utah Territory. In these territories, popular sovereignty would decide whether the state would have slavery or not.
Thanks, Audrey. Next, we'll be reporting about the Kansas-Nebraska that occurred on January 23, 1854. Stephen Douglas introduced a bill in Congress to divide Nebraska in the north, and the Nebraska Act undid the Missouri Compromise line. A lot of northern congressmen thought that this was a plan to turn the territories into slave states, but only 90% of southern congressmen voted for the bill. Now we will take a short commercial break for our sponsors.
Rubber ducky, you're the one. You make bath time lots of fun. Rubber ducky, I'm awfully fond of you. Rubber ducky, joy of joy. When I squeeze you, you make noise. Rubber ducky, you're my very best friend, it's true. Oh, every day.
Breaking news! The rhinos have escaped from the zoo! Here they come now! No need to worry, though. The zookeepers have them under control.
Oh, hell no, we don't have them under control.
Thank you, Dominique. I'm glad they got that all figured out. Now we'll be doing an interview with David Wilmot, writer of the Wilmot Proviso. So, David, are you pro-slavery or anti-slavery?
I'm anti-slavery.
What is the Wilmot Proviso?
The Wilmot Proviso says that California, as well as the territories of Utah and New Mexico, would be closed to slavery forever.
How did the Wilmot Proviso lead to the start of the Civil War?
Well, it was actually one of the major events that led to the war. If it would have passed, parts of the Mexican cession that the states were in conflict over would have closed to slavery. It angered the South that I wrote this, fueling their fire to secede from the United States.
What effect did this have on Congress?
It divided Congress along regional lines. The North supported the Proviso, while the South opposed it for many reasons.
Was the Wilmot Proviso passed?
Sadly, no. The Senate rejected it, although the House of Representatives approved it.
Well, that is all the time we have. Thank you, David, for your time. Next on the news, we'll go off-site with Dominique at the Supreme Court.
Thank you, Nicole. I'm here today at the Supreme Court, where in 1857, Dred Scott, a slave from Missouri, began a lawsuit to claim his freedom. Scott's owner had taken him to live in Illinois and Wisconsin, both free states, for 4 years. After both Scott and his owner had returned to Missouri, Scott's owner died. His reasoning for the lawsuit is that he had, quote, become a free person by living in free territory for several years, unquote. By March 6, 1857, Roger B. Taney, Supreme Court Chief Justice, had handed the decision down. The ruling was that slaves didn't get the rights of the citizens, therefore Scott couldn't claim his freedom. It has been said that this is because when Dred Scott began his lawsuit, he was living in the slave state of Missouri. The Supreme Court had also ruled that the Missouri Compromise line was unconstitutional and that slavery couldn't be forbidden in any part of the territories as it would interfere with the Fifth Amendment. Although the South was elated, the North was in complete and utter shock. At the time, the court had, quote, cleared the way for extension of slavery, unquote, but opponents had high hopes for Republicans to keep the slavery in check. And that's the end of our news podcast. Have a good evening, drive safely, and remember, we're always watching. I was doing good, and then they laughed. Miss Cooper, they laughed. It's their fault. I was doing good, and then she made me laugh. She's changing all
This is our
in our bloopers. Can you use that, please?
Yeah! Like my dad!
I got that.
Ready?
That's intense.
North of the line was free, and south of the line remained slave. And now to Dominique with the weather.
I got it on camera.
You did!